Hey guys, Shane McMurray from the Wedding Report. In this episode, I interview David J. from Vivi the Unicorn, which is a website for photography. We talk about technology and state of information and all kinds of stuff, so it's a great episode. Enjoy. So since your business is a little bit different, tech, let's talk about who you are, what you do. We'll go from there.
Fantastic.
So go ahead.
So yeah, my background is I dropped out of college in 2001, became a wedding photographer, and it's kind of right in the transition to digital, right? Digital cameras were coming out, the whole digital capture revolution was happening.
Yep.
And I got to enjoy being a part of that and growing my business through, really a huge shift in the photo industry.
Yeah. And then you worked as a wedding photographer for a while, right?
Yeah, about a decade. I did that, loved it. Was figuring out things along the way. I had never taken a business class or even really a photo class. I'd taken a couple photo classes in high school, and then our college started their very first ones while I was there. But for the most part, went through the school of hard knocks and learned along the way, and learned from everybody else. Like, the beautiful thing about the 2000s is it was such an era of sharing, where forums and online communities were coming up, and people were starting to share a lot of information, so you could learn from people who are actually working professionals.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, you decided to get into this part of the business, the tech side, or tell me about that.
Yeah, that happened kind of by accident, actually. In 2003, I started an online forum called OSP, Open Source Photo, which was one of the first free forums for photographers. And through that, you started to hear a lot of needs that were similar to the needs that I had, where photographers were asking, how do you do this? How do you do that? And along the way, we were figuring out, how to market our business, how to take better photos, how to serve our clients better.
Right.
And so I went to one of my buddies and asked him, said, hey, could you make me a little slideshow program that I could use to share my photos after a wedding? And he made that for me. My business started to grow and grow and grow. And from that, other people were like, hey, can we use that too? And so we put a kind of a software component to it, put a little front end to it, and started to offer that and sell that. And that grew from a slideshow program to a website program. And then Todd took the website side, and he owns that, called Show It. And I took the photo sharing side of that, called Pass. And we are running our separate businesses now, but really organic evolution, but all geared towards helping photographers shift from primarily physical industry, where you shoot on film, you deliver prints and albums, to a digital industry where you shoot and capture digitally, you deliver digitally through online galleries. And then we see the future being actual digital products, where actually the albums are digital and they're high fidelity and they're beautiful, but they're instantly created, instantly delivered, no waiting for weeks or months to get something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, everything's digital now, right? It's switching. So that evolved into the company you have today, right? Or was there some other transition?
Yeah, there's been lots of little kind of twists and turns. Tech is
Tech is
that way,
tech, right?
right? And so, yeah, Todd and I started all this together back in the Show It days, and then I don't know, 7 years into that, he came to me, and at the time we were running Show It and Pass, and he said, I think it's time that we go our separate ways. And I was like, wait, what? Things are going great. we had a great relationship. The businesses were kicking butt,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't understand it. And he said, well, the reason is because, at the time he had 4 kids, and he's like, I have 4 kids, and it's really tough to be under the gun of innovation. And that's what I do. That's my sweet spot, is kind of a visionary, seeing what's coming next and trying to help people get there.
Yeah.
And his life, being a dad of 4 kids, and my life being a single guy at the time, was very different.
Very different. Yeah, quite different. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I mean, we more or less did a handshake, and he went his way, I went mine. And, we did it professionally with attorneys and all that, but
that's great.
He took Show It and has been doing great with that. And I took Pass. And then I did what I can't not do, which is start companies. Like, I continued to start more and more companies. And so there's Pass, Agree.com, Warm Welcome, Vivi, Site Cards. Like, there's a lot of new companies that I've started in the meantime. And I love doing that. And I think that's an important part of tech, is to continue innovating. But yeah, that's kind of been our story.
Yeah, that's great. So where do you, tech wise, since I mean, I'm a tech geek too. I love tech. Let's talk. What do you see right now? What's happening right now in tech? What do you think is the next thing when it comes to, like, for business stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because here's what I think. So part of the problem I see, even for me as a small business, is there's so many little things that I gotta hook together to make everything work. And it's a little frustrating sometimes, because I'm, now you've got, 15 memberships of these different little services that you've got to manage just to do all the stuff that you need to do day to day. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming and frustrating. So, it's great tech, but none of it's connected together sometimes, it seems. So what are your thoughts on?
Absolutely. I think you're right on. I think the desire for simplicity right now is higher than it's ever been. And I think we're actually coming into a season of technology actually fulfilling the promise that it's made to us for 50 years, right? Which is, it'll simplify your life. And it hasn't.
Yeah.
Right? It's complicated our life. And most companies have built products that then give the consumer more to do. And I think that has been a fail. And we're now seeing a more stressed out, anxious, overloaded society as a result. And so people are realizing that more tech doesn't equal a better life. And so that's what we're doing now with our Vivi company, is we're saying, you know what? We're going to create a product that we actually hope people don't need to use. Now, now that's confusing, right? Because it's like, well, if they don't use it, what value is it bringing? And that's where we think that technology has gotten. We think technology has gotten to the place where it can actually give you what you want without you having to do anything. And so an example of that is just a simple example is a website. So with Vivi, you're not going to have to go in and drag and drop or edit this or do that. People don't have time for that anymore. They're not designers. They don't want to spend their time on their computer, like, designing something. Mm-hmm. What they want is a website, right? So we already have all their data. People have uploaded all their data to Pass, to Agree, to our different companies. So why can't we just take that data, automatically design it, and then automatically deliver it to them? And then it's a binary decision for them. They just say, I like that, or show me another design next week. Mm-hmm. And we send them another design next week. And so we're starting to be able to wrap up all of these services into one service that does everything for the customer.
Instead of giving them photographers, or specifically in this case?
Yeah, for us, we'll start with photographers, and then we'll expand it into other verticals that are, content heavy, that have the data collected in a certain area. Because that's what you need, right? Is you need the data.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
What
it's
what
similar. Yeah.
what about so that's interesting. One of the things that I have when I talk to other photographers is that they talk about all the time they need to edit photos. Um, I mean, you guys doing some tech around that to be able to, like, I upload all these images, right? And then, boom, it gets taken care of. So like I don't have to do any editing. It does the best look for me. And I mean, I know people like to, especially professionals, and you know this, right? I mean, they like to be able to look at it and make tweaks and do certain things to it. But I mean, is there a opportunity there to use some AI or some other mechanism to basically auto edit these photos so they're the best they can be, and then present it that way to take out all the editing hours?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. Or you're right, because that's where photographers spend a lot of time. And there's companies like Shoot.edit and Photographers Edit.
Mhm.
Um, they're friends of mine, and they're doing a great job in that space. And so they're the experts in that. I
Okay.
think that will come, downstream and be less of a service-based model and be more of a tech AI model over the
Mhm.
next few years. Um, but right now, I think that's still pretty heavy on the service side. Um, but I definitely am with you. I think it's going there, and it's probably going to come quicker than we think.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, because Google's not very far behind when it
Yeah,
comes to some of the AI stuff they're doing. Facebook obviously is pretty close, and then there's tons of other small companies out there doing AI stuff. Um,
yeah,
it makes life a little bit easier, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen like some of the new, some of the new features in Gmail specifically, right, around typing out an email.
Mhm.
Auto completes a bunch of your sentences for you is like so super helpful. I mean, you just, it complete, yep, that's it, what I want. You tab through and you're done with that sentence and so on. Almost like coding with autocomplete and, uh, you know,
Yeah, it's exactly right. And email is a place that we spend time each day, and that's a place that we're going for our business. And so expanding that and saying, hey, instead of just using email for delivery of text, why don't we use it as more of a communication platform? And so with Vivi, we're going to be delivering entire galleries right inside of an email, where the client doesn't need to leave it and go out to a browser. They're going to be able to navigate the gallery, view photos, favorite photos, do all that right inside of their Gmail inbox.
mhm.
And so, that these are very new things, kind of bleeding edge, and we feel the bleeding part of that all too often.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that kind of challenging, especially in like email, like email for like Outlook, Gmail, all those things, because there's so many spam things coming through. They're kind of like restricting your ability to do other things,
Mhm.
right? Unless you're Google, then obviously they can do whatever they want. But for us, creating new tech and trying to embed stuff in an email, I think is a challenge. How
It's
are
a
you guys seeing that?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge, and as tech goes through these different eras, and it's really fractured like it has been over the last decade, especially with email. um, it's kind of waiting to determine the winner. And
Hmm.
when there's a winner and things start to consolidate, things get standardized, and that's good for some things, bad for some things. But um, Gmail is starting to be that standard. And it doesn't mean everyone will use Gmail, but it means that other companies like Outlook and whoever will start to adopt Gmail's kind of lead. And so the technologies that Gmail provides will trickle through all the rest of the email
Yeah,
providers.
you
So
kind of see that with some of the decisions Microsoft's made around their browser, right? So they just recently decided to use WebKit, which is what's used in Google Chrome.
mhm,
And instead of writing their own engine to parse HTML, right? So they're now using this. they're using the same standard that some other folks are using, right? So Safari, Chrome, and now Edge, right, is using it. So it'd be interesting to see that, and they're also tying things in a little closer with Android, if you notice, right? Microsoft is anyway. So it'd be
Right.
interesting to see how that comes out. I think the big challenge now is not necessarily standards around browsers because Chrome and Safari. Well, Chrome really owns the space now, ideally. But I think it's the messaging platform. So you've got email, you've got text, you've got messaging platforms like Messenger and Google Duo and you know all its little things, and then all these other little things that also want to be messenger platforms. I mean, it's challenging in that space, right? Where do you
Yeah.
see that going?
Yeah, messaging is a big one. Our newest company, warmwelcome.com, is all about communication and messaging. And it's done this way, it's done through video, and it's saying, hey, we've known for years that the text, the actual words of our communication are only a fraction of what we're actually communicating. And so why not deliver our messages in a way that communicates better what we're trying to communicate? And
Right.
so delivering video messages to your clients through email, through text message, through social is what Warm Welcome's all about. It's about warming up that communication and saying, hey, we want to make it more personal.
Mm-hmm.
Not just text, not just transactional type of communication, but personal
So tell
communication.
me about that platform. What does it do? And tell me about it a little bit. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, so that's essentially what it does. Is it delivers video messages through email or text message, and it does it in a way that um, that is personal, but is also scalable. So that's typically been the difficulty with doing video is it takes more time, and it's hard to shoot the video and process it and upload it somewhere and send somebody a link to it, and it's clunky.
Yeah.
So if you can remove all those friction points and say, hey, it's as easy as now opening your phone, clicking record on a little video, hitting send, and it's automatically getting delivered to your client.
So like if you have your mailing list, right, you can send to your mailing list. Um, I've been looking at Twilio, I think, or Twilio for
Yep.
email for SMS platform.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been looking to see how can I use SMS more versus just email
Yeah.
for communication. And it's not as straightforward as you would think. There's a lot of limitations on messaging and texting, and so like I guess there's some limits for like daily texting that you can only do. So you have to have a lot of different numbers to be able to do that. So what I mean, if you have 10,000 people on your list that you're sending a text message to, you have to do it over a period of 5 days, and you know, and have like 20 numbers that you can send it from, and then try to make it all come from you, and then
Mm-hmm.
try to go, hey, if someone texts me, I need them to send it to my real text message so I can reply to them. And you know what I mean? So a little
Yeah.
challenging from a tech
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. The macro side, I'd say, is getting more challenging and it's getting less effective. And so I'm getting blurry here.
Yeah, see that.
I feel blurry. I was actually
Yeah,
sick
there
for
you
some.
go. You're good now.
So Warm Welcome is actually moving the other direction, and it's going one-to-one. So it's saying, hey, each of these messages is a personal message from me to you. It's not from me to many.
I got
Uh, it's not 1 to 10,000. It's one-to-one, and that makes it a lot more effective. And so that's what we're working on doing. Is you've probably heard the term scaling the unscalable,
you. Yeah,
and that's what Warm Welcome does. Is it lets you send a personal message to a lot of people because it's so efficient.
that's cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's live. It's out there. We just went to production on the App Store for Apple. We have a Android app, Apple iOS app, and then we also have a Chrome and a Gmail plugin. So right inside of Gmail, you can just hit record and boom, it's going to record a video and you can send that right to whoever you were going to email.
That sounds pretty awesome. Like, because the more personal and that you can make it, I think the better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Particularly with your direct customers or with anybody you're communicating with, right?
Right.
So this would be perfect, like for I think personally, like for people that work in the wedding space, for sure, right? Like if someone's reaching out to you and you get an email or a text or whatever, then if you could respond with a personal video greeting, and hey, let's talk or whatever. I think that would be kind of a nice little change from what's
Yeah.
happening today, right? And
Right.
I was just talking about this with Eric from NJ Wedding, is that I think consumers today want instant communication, right? They want instant contact with each other and say, I need something now. Let's talk about, I want to talk about it now, not 24 hours from now, right? I need an
Right.
answer. And I think the industry from the wedding perspective is a little bit behind the curve when it comes to, I mean, a lot of businesses are. There's constraints and there's a bunch of stuff, but this is where technology, I think, can help us become more efficient at instant communication, right? And that instant gratification to say, hey, look, I'm here. What can I do to help you, right? Versus, oh, we'll get back to you in 20 within 2 to 3 business days, right? I'm like, I don't have to. I'm in 2 to 3 business days. I'm on to somebody else, right? I mean,
Yeah, 100%. I think it's got to be fast and it's got to be personal. They don't want to auto reply. It's like any relationship-based business. People want to deal with a person, not a robot,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
And there is a time and place for automated stuff. I'm for that, but the world seems to be moving towards smaller, more personal types of communication. So doing that in a efficient way is what we're hoping to do.
Do you see that in so I don't see that in the support side of businesses. Like I notice more businesses are going more towards automated response, virtual assistant type things for their responses for things. And I think in some cases it's okay, but they don't give you any options for, look, man, I really just need to talk to somebody right now. I don't want to go through this series of 50 questions before I can determine whether I need to talk to somebody. I
Yeah,
think the big companies like Google and Amazon, they're the worst at it. You really have to dig down in there to try to figure out how to actually get a real person. And I was just trying to reach last night, I was trying to get to somebody and send them, I needed to talk to somebody about something. And I'm going through this whole automated virtual assistant thing. And I'm like, this is nonsense. And
hmm
I just gave up.
and it's frustrating. And businesses don't. I think they're short-sighted and they don't look at the actual cost of that. They look at like their support side as this kind of cost center of their business, and if they can trim that, then they think they're more profitable, but they don't realize that they're losing evangelists, they're losing promoters, they're losing the marketing that they would get if they would act more personal and
Yeah.
humanize their business some more. And um, and so yeah, that's what I think. If you look at this type of thing where you say, hey, we're going to personally connect with our customers. So for example, for all of our companies, every new person that signs up gets a personal video from someone on our staff, usually within 24 hours.
That's,
So this is not pre-recorded. It's not, something that is already baked. It's just as though somebody was to walk into our retail store. If someone walked into our retail store, which we don't have retail stores, obviously, but if we did, we would greet them. We would say, hey, we're glad you're here. Like, what can we do for
yeah.
you?
What can we do to help? Yeah.
Yeah, we see you, we recognize you. And so that's what we want to do with tech is warm it up and say, hey, if somebody comes into your shop, like say hi to them. Say, hey, what's up? Like we're here, we exist every day to help you, serve you. And so, I'm DJ and I'd love to know if there's anything that you have questions about or if there's anything I can do to help you get going. Let me know.
Yeah. Yeah. I,
That's
I I think companies are all worried about like they're worried about the bottom line. You should be as a company, right? But I think they're like, oh, we can just take our support staff, right? And they're just looking at the head count. Well, if I've got 100 people, I need to reduce by 10%. Oh, I'm just going to get rid of 10 people, and we'll figure out and add tech to that to make that more efficient. And you're right. I think you lose people. You lose people that care about your company, and you alienate those that want to do business with you. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
What else you got for me, David?
Well, I really want to thank you. Honestly, I mean, it's been, I don't know, 15 years that I've been, subscribed to the Wedding Report and looking at the data, and it's helped all of our businesses a lot. And so I really appreciate what you do. It's hard work to collect all that and distill it into something that that we can understand and use. And so,
it's a challenge. I'll say that. It's a challenge to make it easy for people to use, I think, and to explain what it is. As a creative business in general, I think it's hard to get people to think about data and information. But thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I'm excited. I'm excited that we're seeing similar things in this desire for simplicity, and I hope we can do that. I hope that as tech, we can help solve some of the problems that we created. I think we're looking at a society, and we're seeing people lonelier than ever, feeling more isolated and overloaded and anxious, right?
Yep.
And you saw those numbers skyrocket ever since mobile devices came out. And I think if we put our heads together and we start to tell a different story and talk about some of this stuff, I think it'll do a lot of good for our society. And it's less about competing against another tech company at this point. I think it's more about looking at our society and the society that our kids are going to grow up in, and say, hey, are we moving that in the right direction?
Yeah, true. That's true. So David, so Warm Welcome, what's the site?
Yeah, it's just warmwelcome.com.
Okay, warmwelcome.com. That's awesome. And then what was the photography one?
That one's called Vivi, and it's called vivitheunicorn.com. So
nice, yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So the idea there is that this magical unicorn goes and creates whatever you need, whether that's a website or a video, marketing video, or an online gallery. It'll just create it for you, and you're done. And so we've been doing the video side for a little over a year now. We've produced over 100,000 videos for people.
Wow, that's awesome.
Where they didn't have to do anything. Like, they maybe uploaded their photos, or we maybe pulled them over from Pass or Shoot and Share. But then these videos, which are professionally produced videos, are just auto created for them.
That's awesome.
They can post them on social media, they can share them, and the results have been just incredible. I could send you like whole lists. If you go to vivitheunicorn.com/love, you'll see what people have actually posted, which is, hey, I shared a video, one of these Vivi videos, and booked 5, photo shoots in 24 hours, and made thousands of dollars. And so it's pretty fun to see what it's doing.
Yeah, well, people want to see your work, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons they go check you out. They want to see what you've done. And if you can make it easy for them to be able to look at what they've done, right? I mean, that's huge benefit.
Yeah. And it's just changing the packaging, right? The photographer's photos are really the magic, but the different networks and the different ways that we share them, changes over time. And so, in the old days, you used to just shoot the photos, put them all in a shoebox, and give them to your customer. Right? Then we got a little more sophisticated, and we started putting them in an album. We'd slide them in sleeves and give them as albums. Then we made these nice flush mount albums. Then, digital really took off, and we started delivering them in these beautiful Pinterest style galleries. Well, now all that's commonplace. Everyone gets that for every single wedding, right? So what's going to make you stand out is offering them something like packaged up a little bit differently. So these, videos where you can have a parallax effect where you kind of zoom into the photos, or even just the traditional Ken Burns kind of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You put that on Facebook, it will get a lot more attention from Facebook viewers than a single photo. And just by changing the medium, you'll get more traffic, you'll get more eyeballs on your stuff, because the platforms all want video content. People stick around, they watch video for longer than they watch a single photo.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Hey, man, I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
We'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Thanks a lot, Shane.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text, 520-399-8580, or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.